Joseph W. Brady speaks out on presidential politics, starting with the Democratic National Convention.
Terry, I don't think there were any major surprises there. I will say this. I respect the amount of time that President Joe Biden, former Senator Joe Biden, spent in political office. What I didn't like was the fact that the Democratic Party, who talks about democracy, okay, which I think they talk out the side of their mouth about it, okay, they talk about it when it's convenient, but when it's not, okay, they cut the guy's knees out. I have a friend of mine who is in Washington that knew exactly and told me immediately what they did. The big guys are writing the checks, called and said, we're not giving you more money. He had nowhere to go. So when they say that he decided to bow out, he had no choice. And what bothers me is we are brought up as Americans, I think, to tell the truth. Okay? How many of these people go to church on Sunday and they pray to God and then they come on out and they're not telling us the truth? Okay? I think that maybe I think Kamala might have picked Mr. Waltz a little bit too quickly. I don't know the process that they went through. He makes me really, really nervous because of his connections to China. 30 trips to China. He happened to get married. The day he got married to his wife in 2014, 2004, was the 5-year anniversary of Tiananmen Square. Okay? He is big about China. I mean, we buy a lot of stuff that comes from China. I am concerned that Kamala probably is not as prepared as I think that she would like to be, or anybody in her position would like to be. I mean, you can call it whatever you want, but you can't change your platform daily, and they're changing their platform. I mean, you can't go give every single home buyer $25,000 without wrecking the economy. You're not going to be able to build 3 million homes nationally. The state of California needs 3 million homes to begin with. So, I think just this report that just came out, it just came out this week. It says the Biden administration is responsible for not only the death of those 13 servicemen over in Afghanistan, but she was the last person in the room talking about it. So why is the media not talking about that? Okay, that makes me a little bit nervous. I have a great friend of mine by the name of Nick Benson. I mean, God bless Nick. He's just a great guy. We actually met in a rather challenging time back in Barstow years ago. He lives in Kingman, Arizona now. Very, very conservative. We both wrote letters to Donald Trump. I wrote mine in November 21st of 2022. I wrote it and we sent it to Mar-a-Lago overnight, and we sent it to his office in Virginia. He wrote his on July 24th of 2024 about trucking, about issues dealing with motorcycles and everything else that he deals with. Very, very, very well written letter. It tipped employees. It talked about tipped employees and truck drivers, which he was one. My letter was a little bit different than his. I wrote Trump back in 2022 and said, you know what? I loved all your policies. I hated your tweets. I hated some of the things that you did. You were the right guy at the right time. Whether you like Trump or not, he's a bully. He went on in there. I thought he was going to clean up the swamp. The swamp is so deep back there, Terry. I don't think that God could clean up the swamp. It's so bad. I mean, there's so many people that are dependent upon how our government works. At the end of the day, I said to him, I loved all these policies, but I said to him, please do me a favor and don't run again. Well, he ran again, and he's successful. So we are supporting him. But what I found interesting when you look at the policies that we have, okay, we've just gone through 4 years. So inflation is weighing up, gas prices are on up, crime is off the charts. You've got, the numbers go from 10 million, 15 million, 20 million. How many illegals have come on in here? Okay, I'm all about people coming to our country, and I think we need more people to come here, but we need them to vet it correctly. We need them to go through the process and do it correctly. To say to somebody, through the Biden administration, we're going to cancel your loan debt, where I might have gone and worked 3 jobs and done that, that's not fair. Okay, that's not America. But let me, I'll tell you one thing that Deb and I went to our high school reunion back in Colorado. I was the chairman of it, or co-chair, with just a great group of guys. And we were done on Sunday And I think that was the 18th, and we drove that day from Kansas City, Colorado to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and then the next morning from Santa Fe to Sedona, where we love to go. And we timed it all to get there, get our stuff unpacked, have a nice big fat cocktail, and turn on the national convention. One thing I found interesting that week is Robert Kennedy's speech that he gave. I think it was Friday morning. I think it was 11 o'clock Arizona time. He was an hour late. I sat there and watched every word. You know, I'm not a big Robert Kennedy guy, but I'll tell you this. When he said what he did to the American people, he was calling out the media. He was calling out the Democratic Party. He was talking about how broke, I mean, really broke that we are. And I admire the fact that he had the guts to do that, because the fallout that he'll take within his family is deep. The gentleman that helped me create Bradco, James B. Tatum, who died many years ago. He had narcissism. His son Todd's still alive, and his Madeline is still around. He owned one of the Kennedy compound homes when Jim came to me and said, "I think that you should be in business." So it was fun watching the convention. I don't think there was any ear shattering. I mean, what they brought up Trump's name like 325 times to bash him, versus saying, what are we going to do? What is our plan? So there was no plan, and that plan keeps changing. So I'm bummed that tonight so you'll be able to know when we film this. This is Tuesday. I'll be at Victor Valley Community College with three other my trustee friends, and I won't be able to watch the debate. I'll watch it when I get on home. But let me read something that Deb found the other day that is just it's to me, this is as well written as what Robert Kennedy said. Okay, and I put on a must read. I usually don't. And this something came off of Facebook. I usually don't post political stuff, but this sums it to me personally. Yes, personally, and we all have that right. No comments needed. We all must live with our choices. Someone recently asked me why I like Trump. My answer was, I don't really like things about Trump, but he is a very successful businessman, and this country is business. The election is not about choosing the most likable person. We are voting between two vastly different ideologies. We are voting for the country we want to leave to our children and grandchildren. Trump represents that future and has proven that he can deliver. He is a patriot to the core and has even served his country for 4 years without pay. That moment when someone says, I can't believe you're voting for Trump, I simply reply, I'm not voting for Trump. I'm voting for the First Amendment and the freedom of speech. I'm voting for the right to speak my opinion and not be censored. I'm voting for secure borders and legal immigration. I'm voting for election integrity to include mandatory voter ID. Why would anyone want to vote without this? I'm voting for the Second Amendment and my right to defend my life and my family. I'm voting for the police to be respected once again. I'm voting for law and order and the end to allowing protesters to trespass and burn our cities, destroying innocent small businesses like Tim Waltz allowed to happen in Minnesota or Wisconsin. I'm voting for personal responsibility and the end of the revolving door where criminals are being put back in the street. I'm voting for the next Supreme Court justice to protect the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I'm voting for a return of our troops from foreign countries and the end to America's involvement with foreign conflicts. I'm voting for the Electoral College and the republic to which we live. I'm voting for a continued appointment of federal judges who respect the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I'm voting for keeping our jobs to remain in America and not to be outsourced all over the world to China, Mexico, and other foreign countries. I'm voting for doing away with the freebies given to all the illegals and not looking after the needs of the American citizens and our homelessness veterans. I'm voting for I'm voting for military and the veterans who fought for our country. I'm voting to keep men out of women's sports. I'm voting for peace progress in the Middle East. I'm voting to fight against human and child trafficking. I'm voting for the freedom of religion. I'm voting for the return of teaching math, history, and science instead of indoctrination to our children. I'm not just voting for one person. I'm voting for the future of my country. I'm voting for my children and my grandchildren to ensure their freedoms. America is the greatest country in the world, hence why everyone wants to immigrate here. So why would you want to change that? Why do politicians want to enact policies that have failed in other countries throughout history? I'm not voting for Trump. I'm voting for America. My name is Joseph W. Brady. I'm proud to be the president of Bradco Companies in Victorville, California. If you agree with me, that's great. If you don't, then just disrespect my opinion. I'm tired of being in a country that's so divided, and I'm tired of watching people not be able to reach their goals because they're competing against people that are being given things for free. So God bless America, and God bless our country, and God bless you that watch this. Thanks.